Guys, there are spoilers for this film and this review, so if you don't want to worry about your safety, go out and watch the film, then come back. You have been warned. Hey guys, welcome back to another week of Ticket Tuesday. I'm your host, Ron HD. So yeah, this is going to be a great time. Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Ticket Tuesday. I'm your host, Ron HD, and this week we watched The Phoenician Scheme, the newest Wes Anderson movie. And I will say, it was fun, but it felt a little different from the average Wes Anderson movie. I really enjoyed it though, and overall I just think that it still felt like Wes Anderson movie. It just felt like he was doing something a little bit different, and I like that. But before I go on a whole tangent, why I like this film, I'll tell you why I like this film and more. Back to the house.
One thing you'll never know because you can't. The truth. I suppose I'm moved by this absurd performance. I recognize this assassin. Oh no. Suicide pedal.
Where's the father? Take this miserable sinner into the comfort of heaven.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Ticket Tuesday. I'm your host, Ryan HD, and this week we watched The Phoenician Scheme, the newest Wes Anderson film screenplay, directed. Story was actually in collaboration with Roman Coppola, who's actually collaborated on the last few, quite a couple Wes Anderson movies, Isle of Dogs, The French Dispatch, Asteroid City, a lot of Wes Anderson movies, Roman Coppola and Wes Anderson have collaborated on based on the story. Like, they came up with the idea of what it's about, probably during, a lunch break or something. Mainly the vision was of Wes Anderson. This movie was a Wes Anderson movie. He still has his style, But before I go into that, let's go into the actors, because of course every Wes Anderson movie has a hell of a cast, right? There's so many people in a Wes Anderson movie. So let's just go. We got Benicio del Toro, Mia Threapleton. I'm very sorry. I do not have any idea how to say that name. I very much apologize. Michael Cera, Tom Hanks, Bryan Cranston, Riz Ahmed, Bill Murray, Hope Davis, Jeffrey Wright. There's probably some that I'm missing, but those are the ones that I can remember off the top of my head. This movie obviously has an ensemble. Oh yeah, Scarlett Johansson too. Almost forgot Scarlett Johansson was in this movie. But giant ensemble, right? Wes Anderson always usually gets a huge ensemble cast, because I feel like actors genuinely just really want to be in Wes Anderson movies, and I don't blame them. It's probably a hell of an experience to work on these movies, because I am of the opinion that Wes Anderson is one of the most unique and interesting directors in the history of filmmaking, and I very much stand by that. I think Wes Anderson, his movies only can be made by Wes Anderson, because they just have such a distinct style of writing, of directing, of cinematography, of visual, the visual aspect. So much of it is just so Wes Anderson that, I think if somebody tried to replicate it, it just wouldn't be the same. I just think he's the only guy who can really make a movie like him, obviously, because it's his own movie, but it's just, there's something about it. Just, even the way the characters sit, and the way that they, their mannerisms. If you showed me, the way a person sat in a movie, and not even, told me any context or gave me any other clues, I could probably tell it was a Wes Anderson movie. I don't know if that's weird or not, but it's just, everything about it is so different and so unique. And that's what I love about Wes Anderson movies, is that their premises are all usually different, but they always have that same charm of Wes Anderson. They have that dry humor. They have the monotone. I think one thing I really like about Wes Anderson movies, I really want to watch his whole filmography. I haven't gotten to his whole stuff, but his newer stuff, at least, I've seen a lot of the actors are really monotone. It's dry, right? The humor is very dry. And I like that, right? But also there are moments where the actors will scream at each other and start yelling and being loud. But that's usually a shock because most of the time the actors are very apathetic about like everything that's going on. The characters are very apathetic, and obviously that is intentional. And I like that. I really like how whenever something like really strange happens or something like ridiculous happens, the characters just kind of act like it's normal, right? And I love that. I think it kind of adds to the comedy. Like there's a point where they're in an elevator near the end of the movie. Like they have a like freedom fighter, like communist rebel leader with them as like a bodyguard in the elevator, and then there's Michael Cera and Benicio del Toro's daughter Mia Threapleton. Again, I'm very sorry, but they're in the elevator, and then the like elevator, whatever the like I don't know what they're called, the attendant or whatever, and he's like, I know who that guy is. He's worked for me before. He's an assassin. He's like, who hired you? And then he like just like swallows a pill and then dies immediately. And then I think the freedom fighter that's with him, he goes, cyanide pill. And they just walk out of the elevator like nothing happened. That's funny. I mean, I think also a lot, like, thing with dry humor is that sometimes you won't like you won't like belly laugh at it, but you admit that it's funny, right? I think that's the thing that I like about dry humor, though, is it feels more raw, I guess. There's maybe not that, I don't know. There's just something about it that I think has a charm that maybe other comedies wouldn't. Because I'd say this is a black comedy, right? Maybe a bit of a thriller, too. Apparently, some people consider it a thriller. I guess you could consider it that because, I mean, Benicio del Toro is constantly, like people are constantly trying to assassinate him throughout the movie. But it's mostly played for laughs. Like, I wasn't ever, like, on the edge of my seat, like, oh my god, is Benicio del Toro gonna die? I actually did think he was gonna die at the end of the movie, because I kind of thought that was the natural progression of the story. But he didn't. But I do kind of like how he sacrificed, like, all his wealth and his estate, to just, I guess, be with his daughter. That's really what he cared about. And I like that. I like that character development that he went through. They just own a little restaurant, a little hole-in-the-wall restaurant, like, in the middle of the city, which is kind of cool. Also, I did like how Michael Cera was, like, he played a character named, I think it was Bjorn, like this Norwegian, he had, like, a weird, like, fake Norwegian accent, and throughout the whole movie, like, I'm like, this is a terrible Norwegian accent, and then they play on that, because he's not at all. I just thought it was going to be like a joke of how terrible his accent is, but no, he was actually just an American spy from Delaware. I did like that little payoff joke, and he also knows karate. I think that's kind of funny too. I don't know. As I said, for the movie being really high stakes, like a lot more high stakes than most other Wes Anderson movies, which are usually pretty like tight-knit, like intimate stories that are usually just about a small group of people. This is literally about an entire like nation or group of nations teaming up to try to kill a capitalist businessman who's like a con man, right? Seems a bit like heated for a Wes Anderson movie, but even then, it still feels intimate. Like, it doesn't feel as big as... I mean, that's not an insult, by the way. I do like how it still has that intimate Wes Anderson feel. Because even when... I think the aspect ratio and, like, the camera angles also help with the intimate nature. Because, like, the characters are far away, but they feel close, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. But it just feels close. And I just really liked that aspect. I did like how high stakes it was. Because, as I said, there's a lot of shit going on. Like, even though it is played for laughs, like, Benicio del Toro isn't, like, they try to kill him multiple times in the movie. Like, there's a running gag how at the beginning of the movie, like, a sound went off and then his plane, like, the side of his plane blew up and, like, I forgot what he was called, but, like, he had a guy who worked for him that exploded into, like, his entire upper half just blew up. And, like, it was just his lower half. I'm like, damn, that's pretty violent for a Wes Anderson movie. I mean, maybe there's a really violent Wes Anderson movie that I've never seen. Leave it down in the comments if there is. But I mean, yeah, there can be blood, but I don't ever remember there being, like... I mean, yeah, it's, like, again, it's comedic, right? Him literally just popping out and, like, his entire upper half is gone as soon as the plane explodes. That's pretty comedic, right? That's kind of, like, Looney Tunesy, right? But it's still, like, he's gone... His upper body is gone. Like, that's pretty violent, even if it's played for laughs. And Yeah, like the whole movie just has this like aura of serious unseriousness. You know what I mean? Like you are invested in the story, but as I said, it's still a comedy, right? So most of it is still comedic. I mean, Benedict Cumberbatch is this like evil, like mustache twirling guy who has like who has blood of everybody. I did like how like Benicio del Toro and Benedict Cumberbatch, he's like, I have everybody's blood. He's like, no, no, you don't. He's like, yes, I do. No, you don't. Yes, I do. And they would just like constantly go back and forth about it. And that was I liked all the bits because there was a lot of like reoccurring bits that they had in the movie. Even if it only happened like twice, it would still technically count as a reoccurring bit, right? I like that. Again, I liked the sound from at the beginning of the movie when the plane blew up. They did that several times because they traveled by plane a lot because they were trying to like get relations to fill the gap, right? That was the whole point of the movie, is trying to get people to help him pay the gap because he was trying to build like a tunnel for a train, I believe. He was trying to build like a train tunnel. But every time they were in a plane, like that same sound would go off, and he goes, "I feel safe," or something along those lines. I'm sorry, I can't remember the exact line, but it was still funny. Like he said it every time, and it was funny every time. I don't know, but I really liked Benicio del Toro in this movie because I just think he brought he just like is super laxed and chill the whole time throughout the whole movie because he's got a plan, like he knows what he's doing when he really has no idea what he's doing, and he's just acting like he knows what he's doing. And I like that. I like that how he seemed like this sophisticated guy, but he was just making shit up as they went along, pretty much. I did like that. Well, again, as I said, even though this film is a little different, still got all the bells and whistles. It's got all the marks on the checkboard checked, if that's how you say it. I don't even think that's a phrase. But checks all the boxes. But I mean, yeah, it's got the cinematography, it's got the visual style, it's got, as I said, the directing, the writing, it's got the character writing, it's got pretty much everything that a Wes Anderson movie has. It just feels different to me, but in a good way, as I said before. But either way, I just enjoyed myself the whole time through. I enjoyed myself the whole way through, and I think while, as I said, it's not very slow moving, I wouldn't say it. Actually, say it moves pretty quickly. But I will say if you're like looking for like an action-packed like thrill ride, that's not what you're gonna get. Although some people consider it a thriller, I wouldn't personally consider it a thriller. I do think it's just a straight up like black comedy. But with that being said, as I said, it's not a laugh out loud, like hilarious comedy. It is very dry. And usually with dry humor, you can like giggle at it and laugh at it and acknowledge that it's funny, but it's not, as I said, hilarious. But that's what I like about it, the subtlety. It's very subtle, right? There's nothing like that in your face about this movie. And yes, as I said, there are very goofy parts of it. There's like a part where Benedict Cumberbatch, like Benicio del Toro, like Benedict Cumberbatch, they had a whole conversation, they argued, and then he was like, they went on a whole spiel, they had a whole argument, and they left. But then I think Benedict Cumberbatch called Benicio del Toro again. So Benedict Cumberbatch called him back to his office after like previously, like not that many scenes before that, they had an argument in his office before. But then he called Benicio del Toro again, and Benicio del Toro was like, "What do you want?" And Cumberbatch was like, I'm here to finish. Like, I think finish something is what he said, or something along those lines. And Del Toro's like, he's like, "Oh, you mean finish the gap? Like you're here to pay for it?" And he's like, "No, your assassination." And he like starts strangling him. And then they start like rolling down the stairs. That's very goofy, right? And that's probably like the most like hilarious part of the movie because it's just so absurd. And like the best part is they're both like out of shape, middle-aged men. So like when they're fighting, it's super awkward because they're just like basically like just grappling with each other and like fucking stumbling over themselves. And that's like probably the most slapstick part of the movie, even though the movie is kind of slapstick in nature. But either way, I'm just rambling at that point, but I just think it's a good movie. And I genuinely think if you're a fan of Wes Anderson, if you are, a fan of comedies, black comedies, or if you're even just trying to get into Wes Anderson, I don't even think this is a bad entry-level movie. I honestly think you could start with any of his movies and they could make you a fan. But honestly, I think if you're not a Wes Anderson fan, if you are a Wes Anderson fan, anybody out there, I think you could definitely get some enjoyment out of this film, and I would highly, highly recommend it. And with that being said, what would I rate this movie? I think I'd rate this movie a 7.5 out of 10. And, yeah, I think I've said what I need to say. I think I've said my piece. So, guys, I hope you liked this video. Share, friends, subscribe, turn notifications on. Comment down what you liked it. But you guys know how it goes. I didn't really mean to say that. What I really meant to say, so if you guys hated this video, unsubscribe, dislike, and turn shame in the comments. And I've been North HD, off to assassinate a businessman. Hang on a second. Did it look like like a rifle? Like I tried to shoot my hat like it was in a rifle. So, you know, obviously Wes Anderson has like an ensemble that he usually casts like same couple people in his movies. Usually he'll get a new one, but whenever he gets a new one, they'll be in his next movie. And this one's true. There's Bryan Cranston. Benedict Cumberbatch was just in that short film that he won an Oscar for, which is great. But yeah, I don't know. I liked that there were, but also there were some people that weren't there that had been there forever. Where's the Owen Wilson? Where's the wow? I needed it. He wasn't here. It was blasphemy, and it should have been here. I don't know. I'm just going on a tangent here. More Owen Wilson. Cast him in the next movie, Wes Anderson, you coward. I love you. You're not a coward. But please cast Owen Wilson next time. Myself, I feel totally safe.